Hey, welcome back to Scaling Smart, the podcast for accountants serious about growth, setting boundaries, and building a firm that works for you and not the other way around. So today's episode is for every firm owner who's juggling too much, saying yes too often, wondering how to get back more time without sacrificing that level of client service. We're talking about boundaries in this episode. What's in, what's out. How do I structure my calls, my service, access to me, your calendar, and how you could do it in a way that's actually something that can scale. So I want to give you a backstory. Just, when I started my firm, I made the mistake, classic mistake, gave out my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number to every client. That phone was ringing nonstop. It would die every day, by 9 o'clock, because clients would text me on there, call me, leave voicemails. I'd be on that phone calling the IRS for one client, and another client would call. I get disconnected. Like this phone, it was chaotic. This one phone. So now, full disclaimer: if you fast forward to today, and you call any business number for One Stop CPA, these are Google Voice numbers. Those are not my personal phone. I control when the alerts come in, when it's on, how I route them, who on my team has access to it. So it's not a personal line where we're mixing, personal messages. So I limit them. And that's not to say that certain clients don't have my cell phone number, but for the most part, when they're reaching out there, it's not for business related things. So because you don't get to grow your firm if you're always, on call. And that's the reason why. That's why this structure is such an important piece. And I want to just talk a little bit about setting those expectations early with the client. So from the very beginning of the client relationship, you have to be clear about how you work. We've talked about in this series, in this podcast, about saying the right type of services, the right type of billing, the right type of pricing structure, etc. The tech stack. But when clients sign up, what about how do you, they have that question. How do we work with you? How do I call you back? How do I get in contact with you? So we've already pre-designed messages that go out, like an onboarding message that clarifies how do you work with us? How do you reach out? And who do you reach out to in what situation? So it doesn't have to be a long drawn out, SOP. It just has to be a message to clients. Like, if you need something for this is how you get in contact with us. And overall, when clients sign up with us, we invite them to our portal. So our portal has a chat function, and that's where, me and the team members are there. So now the other cool thing about the portal that I use is that it shows, there's support on the portal side, not even with my team, that the client could reach out and get tech support for things like, how do I upload a file? How do I get access, reset my password? Those are things we used to have to do, and it would take time away from our team. And now the portal is including that, which I really like. So now when we send this message out to our clients, now it's like, here's how you contact us depending on what you need. Now, if you're a VIP client, you should know that you're getting VIP access. And I'm going to talk about my calendar links at the end of this too, and just kind of go through that. But I want to basically make sure that my team understands and my clients understand who's getting what level of service, who's signed up, who should be reaching out all the time, and who should we be reaching out to schedule calls, that kind of thing. So, this is a business and we want to run it like a business. So there are 6 calendar links that I use, and I use these 6 calendar links to keep my sanity, because let me just walk you through each of them and I'll just describe them briefly, and then we'll go back through them. And these are the 6 calendar links that I use to structure access to me directly. And this is how I prepare for my week. Number one is, of course, the discovery call. Like, I still do discovery calls, even though I want to grow to the point where I have like a sales person that can close clients up front, but still doing the sales calls. And I think I'll always be doing sales calls because I like to manage what's coming in. And that's how the firm just grows better, is making sure that what's coming in is the ideal client for what we're trying to do. So the discovery call link is the initial consult. It's not giving any advice. It's just giving them, I'm going to ask you for something at the end of this call. If we're a good fit, I'm going to tell you what the next steps are to working with us. So I'm usually closing on this call. I'm asking for the sale on this call. It's not just a chat, but that's one calendar link. And it has certain days of availability. It's not full time. It's not every single day, all day. It's limited, and there's design behind that. Then I have a second link. So these are all just kind of like new client customer links. So the number one one's that discovery call link. I also have a final question call, which is like, hey, we had the discovery call. I made an offer to you. But you needed to get some things together. You needed to find out if I was the right fit. Maybe you had a couple other interviews with other accountants scheduled. But then we're going to reach out to you and say, hey, we have a day specifically that we follow up with everyone in the week. And this is where we schedule this link. And this is more of like a back office link that my team will use, my whoever's reaching out. They will say, hey, there's some time this day, morning or afternoon, which works best for you. We just wanted to talk, see if you had any other questions. Now, usually the client will tell you like, no, I'm not interested. Or they'll tell you like, yeah, I did have a few, loose ends on that discovery call that I wanted to discuss. And let's schedule a call, shorter call, not going to be a full length like the discovery call was. We got enough on that call. But now we're going to the final, I call it the close, and mind you, as I go through these, remember that I have certain things prepared internally before those meetings. I have different notes. I have different internal resources available that I have to kind of like guide me on those. So now once they do sign up, we have 2 different meetings for our advisory support. So we have the strategy session meeting, and that says strategy session. Let's schedule a strategy session. This could be tax planning, business advisory, etc. Then we also have for our VIP advanced subscribers, we have them where they have a separate calendar. And I like to tell them, hey, this is a separate calendar. The meeting's going to be a little longer. I'm going to send you a recap at the end of it, so you don't even have to take notes. And it might have more availability, maybe some weekends, maybe some evenings to accommodate, depending on the highest tier, clients. You want to give them that. And they could also, but it kind of overlaps with the regular strategy session calendar. So those are our 2, fulfillment of the advisory work. We've got strategy session and advanced strategy session. So those are the 2 links there. Now I have 2 others. So these other 2 are more for setting the right tone, explaining to the clients what they're signed up for, and delivering. And I do it in a way that kind of supports the firm for upsells, and I'll talk about them. The first one is tax return review. So I know some other firm owners that have done this as well. When they deliver the tax return results, when we send you the tax return and say it's ready, you need to sign it, here's the results, we have all your info on file. Our portal has different ways for you to, answer questions. Hey, my address is off. All that kind of stuff should have already been taken care of. The banking, is the banking info on file? All that information we're talking about, we're delivering the return. So we're delivering it to you with the results and the e-signature request. This is not a strategy call. This is a tax return review. So usually when we deliver those results, we say, hey, here's the results. Here's what you owe. Here's what you're getting back. Here's the IRS. Here's the state. Here are the next steps. Here's where you could find all the files. Here's the audit guarantee. Here's the audit protection that we include, etc. So we're sending that message, and then we say, hey, if you do want to discuss this return specifically before signing, here's the link. And it's a 15-minute link because it shouldn't be more than 15 minutes to go over this return. This is not, and it clearly says this is not a strategy planning session. So it's not they finished my return and now I want to ask how we could get the bill lowered for next time, or that. No, it's strictly for the year that we're talking about, the return that we're talking about. And as far as for me, and before that meeting, I'm barely preparing for those meetings. Maybe 5 minutes before, I'll pop up the return and kind of see what's going on, make sure everything is, where it needs to be. But I'm not getting too prepared because that should have already happened in the process of the tax return process. So it's not a planning session. It's a tax return review, 15-minute session. And you'll be surprised. clients will often, if they do ask you an advisory question, like that's not something I want you to just say like, oh no, I'm trying to limit clients. Like this could be the perfect opportunity to upsell them. If you're only doing a compliance engagement and they say, hey, I want to, do advisory, or I have a question about how we could get this bill lowered, or what are some things in the new tax law that I could apply, and do I qualify for this? Somebody at my job told me this or that. Like, this is the perfect time to tell them like, hey, let's do an advisory engagement. Let's take a deeper dive into your stuff. But that's not included with tax preparation. That's another part of just educating your clients. So when they see that you have your stuff structured this way, it's a little better than, like I said earlier in this episode, just calling me. Just call me for everything. Just text me. That's what's the original thing. And you see why, structuring your access, it actually gives you room to organize your business. So clients, I don't have those. Most of the time, rarely do clients ever even want to book that call to go over the details. And if they do, it's usually an upsell opportunity to tell them like, hey, I think we should, take a deeper dive into if this could apply to you or not. However, this is this 15 minutes. I gotta go. This was not supposed to be that. It's set it on the calendar invite. If you want access to those calendars where we have strategy sessions, more frequent strategy sessions, I have those, where I could share them with you if you sign up. So again, always staying ahead of the client, and you kind of want to assume that they want that advisory. So when you come to them and when they come to you and say, oh, well, you did my taxes and I have a question about it, but I also want to, over scope you into kind of telling me, more advice and stuff. It's like, well, that's where you want to come to them with the offer, and they'll respect you for it, or they won't. And it's good to know, it's good to know where you stand with your clients always. So, and that I only say that one because I've had clients and I have a handful of clients that are compliance only that never signed up for advisory. I've done a good job of kind of filtering that out over the last few years. But, this is where I saw, I didn't want to just get rid of everyone when I was running an all compliance firm. A good handful of those clients were good target candidates for advisory work. It's just I had to explain it to them. When we spend this time going over your taxes, it's only 15 minutes, but how about we get on the calendar for, later this week or next week to do a real strategy session and an advisory session. That's a separate service. So, hey, just a quick break from this conversation. I hope you're enjoying it. Did you know that most people listening to this podcast haven't actually subscribed yet? And if that's you, no pressure. But if you've been getting value from these episodes, take a second right now, hit that subscribe or follow button. Really helps me bring smart, tactical content to accountants like you. Second, if you're an accountant who's great at what you do, but you still feel like you're undercharging, you're overworked, overwhelmed, or stuck with the wrong clients, then I want to personally invite you to my Scaling Smart 3-day challenge. In just 3 days, I'll show you how to price your services confidently, filter out the wrong fit clients, and build a lean tech stack that helps you run your firm like a business, not a job. Check out the link in the show notes. There's also a VIP upgrade that includes live Q&A access with me during the challenge. I'd love to help you make your firm smarter, more profitable, and more sustainable. All right, let's jump back into the conversation. The last one is one that we use sometimes, and it's nobody's fault that we have to use this, but it's called a scope review appointment. So if someone is abusing, let's say they are signed up for semi-annual, twice a year, or they're signed up for quarterly planning, advisory, strategy sessions, but you see that they're hitting that button every week or every two, they shouldn't be in there more than once a month. And it's like, wow, I have some VIP clients that get monthly access, and, I talk to them quarterly, or I talk to them twice a year. But then I have some of these clients that are, twice a year, but they're kind of just like, hey, I just have a quick one. Or I just need to know. That access is limited on purpose and by design. And again, we're designing our firms to be. So when we say a scope of services appointment, we say it on the screen. I'll pull it up and just kind of, not necessarily sharing my calendar links here, but, we've created a special meeting just for clients like you. This is a chance to make sure you know exactly what you're getting from us, what's included and what's not. Of course, being your accountant can mean so many different things. What one accountant offers, we might also offer in a different way. So let's take some time to schedule an appointment to clarify exactly what we provide. Let's eliminate any confusion and make sure you know how you can utilize our service and fully benefit from it. Here's what we're going to cover. Number one, a review of what we offer, the service package that you're signed up for, and what, you're basically scope creeping me into. Number two, we're going to have a discussion about what you need and what we recommend, possibly an upsell. And then last thing we're going to do is we're going to do any questions and any more clarification that we need. So we have this as like our number 6 meeting. So started this episode with just telling you all about why giving out your phone number is not always the best if you're, depending on what type of firm you're trying to run. But nothing wrong with having a separate business Google Voice number, if you ask me, or whatever VoIP, provider that you have. But the other game changer for me was, and that really helped me, map out my calendar, map out my week, how much time I'm spending with sales, how much time I'm spending with strategy sessions, that kind of thing, what time of the day I'm going to be doing that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that I had to sit down and design around my life and how I want to run my firm. And it's those 6 calendar appointments. So number 1, discovery call, the initial call with new clients. And again, I'm trying to close on that call. Number 2 is the final closing call with the new clients. So we didn't get you to sign up on the first discovery call. This is your last chance. And let's, maybe if you need another 15 minutes or 30 minutes to jump on this one. And those are the new clients, Number 3, strategy session. This is for once you've signed up. Book your strategy session. You have such and such access and it's time, let's book one. Advanced VIP strategy sessions. You have special access because you're one of my special VIP clients. So again, you'll notice that this calendar has the most access. And if you don't, I might even say something like, if you don't see a time that works, feel free to reach out and we'll try to accommodate because we want to treat you the best. So number 5 is the tax return review meeting, which is just a 15-minute in case you want to, go over the final results of this return specifically. This is not a planning session. Number 6 is the scope of services review. If you're overbooking strategy sessions beyond what you're subscribed to, and oftentimes, ask for an upsell and whether they want to sign up or not. So every meeting has a purpose. Every calendar link has a name. And remember, what you name things has very big impact on how your clients perceive you. So each one lets me prepare accordingly. So of course, for discovery calls, I have my open-ended questions ready, locked and loaded. I have my offer script ready. I have my handling objections ready to go. And, for the closing call as well. For strategy sessions, I may prepare for different clients different ways, 30 minutes in advance, an hour in advance, maybe check on their books, check on their tax files. For tax return review meetings, I'm not preparing much for those. The preparation goes into, we did the return and we sent it to you. So I should be able to just pop that up and, if we got to make a couple of adjustments, we'll do that on the call, but not preparing too much for those, maybe a 5 to 10 minute, skimming through. And then for scope meetings, we're looking at what you're signed up for. We're looking at maybe the last year of working with you and, do we even want to keep you on if you keep needing more stuff? Are you the right fit? All that kind of stuff. What can we upsell you on? What's going to be the end result? So we're defining these things beforehand. So it takes time to set these up. And again, if you're thinking about, wow, this is, I like this. I want to have a lifestyle firm, one that grows without consuming you. You need those boundaries because take it from me, giving that access to my cell phone to where I'm at now, 2 totally different setups. And I tell you which one I like more. I like how it is now. So That's how I stay, that's how I stay ready for the calls. That's how I kind of map out my weeks, and I use the calendar for it. And that's how my team supports me as well. They could prepare me for different meetings. They could help me with follow-ups in different ways. Creating boundaries creates clarity, and clarity creates consistency, and consistency is what creates scale. So let me go through that again. Boundaries create clarity, right? Clarity creates consistency. Consistency creates scale. And here's the big takeaway again. If you're trying to start a firm, or you're new and you want a firm that grows without consuming you, consuming your time, overstepping, you need boundaries. You need to structure your access. You need to name your meetings, limit your calendar, and you need to communicate your process with your team and your clients. And it sounds like a big lift, but if you want to see how I do all of this, the scripts, the templates, the client language, it starts with the 3-day challenge. The link's in the show notes, but until then, until next time, keep scaling smart.